The fallout continues over journalist Bob Woodward's explosive new book entitled Rage. The book, which will be published by Simon & Schuster, a division of ViacomCBS, discloses exactly what President Trump knew about the deadly coronavirus and when. In audio recordings released by the Washington Post, the president admitted to intentionally downplaying the severity of the COVID-19 threat at the start of the pandemic. Yesterday, the president defended those actions, saying he didn't want to, quote, create a panic. But he is facing swift backlash from Democrats, including presidential nominee Joe Biden, who says he should have warned the country about what to expect. For more, let's bring in John Harris. He's the founding editor of Politico. John, the president admitted on tape to downplaying the virus because he didn't want to cause a panic. What do we know about the conversations inside the White House early on?
Well, we know that inside the White House early on, there was a division between people who essentially agreed with President Trump that they wanted to not overreact on this. They were concerned about the effect on the economy. And then there were health officials, including the most famous, Dr. Fauci, who were saying, look, we really need to inform and educate people about the severity of this virus and get people to take preemptive steps to control the spread of it. Obviously, the one side, when you've got President Trump on your side, that argument tends to win.
I want to ask you about one of the other recordings where Woodward is asking him about whether or not he feels that both men, the white privilege that they experienced growing up, left them disconnected from some of the needs and the demands that we're hearing from African Americans and other minorities in this country about systemic racism and other injustices. And he sort of makes fun of Woodward, and he says he's been drinking the KoolAid. I'm wondering if you think that this will have an impact on his campaign, considering when talking about the protests that we've been seeing, he's chosen to take a law and order approach. What's your take on this?
I really agree with you. That was, I think, one of the more interesting windows into how President Trump thinks and how he speaks. It's almost like he was trying to speak with Bob Woodward as though they were two guys at the bar and they were friends having a discussion about this kind of stuff. And it's like, come on, give me a break. Do you believe all that stuff? I think President Trump has given in both his public statements and in some of these new revelations by Bob Woodward, he's given us a pretty good picture of what he thinks on racial issues. He believes that there's a significant part of the country more than people acknowledge and more than show up in the polls who agree with him that there's not systemic racism. That despite this terrible year we've had and so many incidents from Minneapolis to Wisconsin, elsewhere, showing that there are these systemic inequities. I suspect you're right. That's going to be a sleeper quote. I bet we hear more of that as time goes on.
It's interesting, John. The president of the United States says to Bob Woodward that he didn't want the American people to panic. This is a tweet from just hours ago from the president of the United States. The Democrats never even mentioned the words law and order at their national convention. If I don't win, America's suburbs will be overrun, all caps, with low-income projects, anarchists, agitators, looters, and of course, friendly protesters. If I were reading that and I was like-minded with the president of the United States, I'd be panicking. In other words, it doesn't hold water what the president is saying to the American people today in the wake of these revelations. And now a lot of people are saying, why did President Trump speak to Bob Woodward 18 times? There are questions why he would speak so candidly on the record, not just about racial inequality, not just about the coronavirus, but also about our nuclear secrets. Top secret information that apparently Woodward then was able to confirm with members of the national security apparatus or the Pentagon, that, of course, now is out there. And my thinking is, and you will probably know this better than I do, John, which is that President Trump, his mindset in many ways is still stuck in the 70s and 80s. And for him, Bob Woodward, rightly so, represents the pinnacle of journalism. And so why wouldn't you talk to the top guy? Is that how I read it?
I think that's a very crude observation you're making. First off, those comments about the suburbs come out of something like the 60s and 70s, almost a cartoon, where people in the suburbs were worried about black migration and so forth. Today, I mean, the suburbs are diverse and they're progressive in many of these places where President Trump's in real trouble. And so that quote was kind of like Austin Powers, time travel. But I think you're especially right about his incentive in wanting to talk to Bob Woodward. For all President Trump criticizes the media and the fake news, in fact, he's obsessed with mainstream news coverage. He's obsessed with the New York Times, and I think we've learned, it doesn't really surprise me based on what we know. He's also obsessed with Bob Woodward, talking to him almost compulsively over the objections and concerns of his staff, making calls at night, bringing him into the Oval Office, 18 separate interviews that shows that he believes, look, if I could just connect with this person, it would be sympathetic to me against all evidence. And I do think compulsive is the right word. He had a kind of a compulsive magnetic attraction to Woodward.
Yeah, one of the things that sort of struck me about the recordings that we've heard so far is, and we've heard this from other people who've spoken to the president, that it's difficult to get a word in edgewise. And you can hear Woodward, trying to get it, and periodically he does. And unprompted, the president is continuing to sort of, I'm not going to say ramble, but continuing to talk, even when Woodward is trying to sort of halt him a little bit. It kind of boggles the mind. But Woodward himself is now facing some criticism because, particularly when it comes to the information about COVID-19, we know that people have died and people have been exposed to the virus because they believe what the president's public phrasing was about the virus, that it was not anything worse than the flu. We know that the president held rallies when now it's revealed, at least he revealed to Woodward, that he knew it was a very dangerous virus, that he knew that there's a possibility that many people would die. And Woodward held that information until the book was ready to be released. What's your take on that criticism? And how is Woodward defending himself?
A couple things about that, although I'm at Politico now. I was for many years at the Washington Post. So this was a familiar issue around Bob. He would get really interesting, newsworthy revelations in the course of his reporting, but he would hold those for his book. I don't really think that's different than what other authors do, including myself, as somebody who's written books. And also, you make an agreement with the people you're talking to about when it's going to be released. The journalistic obligation under normal circumstances is to keep that agreement. You might say this was not normal circumstances and that he should have immediately publicized it. I've seen those arguments, and I get them. I must say, for anyone following the news, this isn't a huge revelation. It was pretty obvious, to me anyway, and I think to a lot of other people, that President Trump was downplaying what he knew was the severity of the virus. And his own aides on TV at those daily briefings last spring were making clear how serious it was. So I doubt if Bob had come forward with this, there would have been huge change in people's behavior or a big change in President Trump's behavior and rhetoric around this. So anyway, I get the criticism of Bob. I guess on this one, I'm not terribly persuaded by it.
Yeah, John, that's a really good point when you consider that, yes, the president was saying one thing, but we have had an avalanche of other voices saying otherwise for this entire time. And so, yeah, people were hearing those other voices and people were making choices. It's really good talking to you, John Harris. Thank you so much.